Well, I am 25 years old, and I probably started playing drums when I was about 13, so about 12 years ago. Oh, geez. Well, when I was really young, I had so much energy. My parents thought I had ADD. I was always tapping on stuff, but unfortunately, they never knew how to channel that, I guess you can say, into music. So when I went to church a lot when I was young, and I was always admiring the drummer in the back, whatever it was. And one day I just decided, I'm going to give it a try. So I just hopped on a set of drums, and I had a passion for it. Other people that are musical in my family, let's see, there are my sister and actually both my sisters, they sing, and my older sister plays horn, clarinet, and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, my mother was born and raised in a Mennonite family where they're always singing and very musical that way. So. The type of music I listen to is a wide variety. Obviously, that's a given. But when it comes to rock, I listen to more progressive rock, and when it comes to jazz, I listen to a lot of fusion. Right now, I'm actually going through a lot of Dave Weckl kind of music, some Billy Cobham, stuff like that. Just a wide variety. So. Drumming inspirations. I have many drumming inspirations. In fact, Jared Falk, you actually were an inspiration to me when I was first starting drums. But no, as of right now, I mean, Mike Portnoy is a huge inspiration to me. I'm been into Dave Weckl. He's actually taught me a lot, and he's probably one of the drummers that I look up to the most. And so there's him, as well as Billy Cobham, a lot of other these jazz fusion drummers that I'm into right now. So yeah. Oh, besides drumming, I mean, I also play other instruments as well. I'm a master of the accordion. But no, I like to do some graphic design. Love sitting behind a TV and playing some video games and stuff like that, so yeah. The type of drums I play right now are acrylic. I have Casey drums. And the reason why I chose those, first and foremost, was the look. I love the look of a clear drum set. And I think that a lot of people in the audience are attracted to a drum set that's see-through and clear. Also, the sound of it it's really boomy. It's loud and bright. And the kind of music I play right now is rock. So it fits my style. The type of cymbals that I use, I have a variety of cymbals. Right now I have a set of Sabian AAX all around. And but when I go to the music store and shop, I don't choose the cymbal based on the name brand. I choose it based on sound. So I also have a 16-inch Turkish cymbal. I've also played Zildjian before, and so I mean, it's not really something that I'm set on, but right now I'm playing Sabian AAX. The type of drumsticks that I use are Vickforths, and I play with Extreme 5As. That's what I've been using for the last year or two. Before that, I was on Extreme 5Bs, which are a bit thicker. So. The pedals that I use, as you can see in this DVD, are Yamaha Flying Dragons. I've been using those for most of my life. In fact, probably since the very first double bass pedal that I've gotten has been an old set of Yamahas, and I guess that just stuck through, and I grew attached to them. So. My dream drum set will change with the different styles that I get into. As of right now, I love the acrylic kit I have. The only thing that I would add to it is some lighting inside, because I mean, that would look so cool. But I've always wanted a DW Timeless Timber kit, and just because the rarity of the actual shell, the wood coming from the Great Lakes. So I think that's one of my goals, is to have one of those just to collect. I mean, it'd be so cool to have. So. musical projects that I'm a part of right now, the main one is my rock band that I'm a part of called Yuka, which is Y-U-C-A, and we've been playing for, well, the band's been together for a while. I've been with them for about 2.5 years now. But I'm also in the works of doing a bunch of different jazz things. I got a fusion group that I'm trying to get together, and just to try and experiment with some new styles. So. Oh wow, the instructional projects that I've worked on or am working on. Obviously, we just finished this Bass Drum Secrets 2.0. But before that, I mean, I've been doing lots of stuff with Railroad Media free drum lessons. I've been doing some of the secret lessons. I did a couple play-alongs with the drum play-along system. I've done a lot of personal videos of my own self, just playing different kind of songs with electric drums or whatever, just trying to change up the Yuka tracks that we have and stuff like that. So I'm always working on stuff and all that. So. The type of bands that I played in the past go from anywhere from my very first band, which was a Christian cover worship band, all the way up to what I'm playing in now, which is Yuka, which is more of a mainstream, kind of like a anthemic rock type of style. I've done a couple progressive rock stuff. About 2 years ago, I did a Christmas album, which was more of like a jazz album, which is awesome, and it was a lot of fun. So. The aspect of drumming that I'm working on right now is away from rock. I've been playing rock for the last 12 years. Ever since I've been drumming, that's all I've been playing. So I'm taking a step back and I'm trying to learn a lot more syncopation with a lot of Latin tracks. I'm trying to learn some jazz. I'm trying to get my traditional grip going. I'm trying to get my dynamics there. So I'm taking a step back from all the heavier stuff, and I'm really trying to focus on that. And like with jazz alone, you could spend a year just trying to practice the 2 and 4 accent, you know. So I mean, there's a lot of things that that's around that kind of music that I'm challenging myself with right now. Musical goals for me, I mean, there's career-based goals and then there's also personal musical goals. And obviously career-based goals, everybody would love to be able to play music for a living and to make some sort of an income, whether it's teaching, performing, recording, whatever it is. So those are obvious, but my personal goals is to really be more diverse as a drummer, to be more independent, and to be able to see these drummers or these songs that I've listened to, that I've brought up listening to, you know, just some of these jazz songs or these Buddy Rich style songs, or being able to see those and understand what's going on and to be able to play them. That's my kind of goals, is to have no boundaries, kind of. The thing that I wish that I could practice that I don't have time for is a lot more of the technical, I guess I can say almost polyrhythmic and independent coordination stuff. I'd love to practice that stuff, and I would love to be able to sit down and play 4-way independence with some different time signature on each limb. But the reason why I don't have time to practice that is because it's not a priority in my drumming goals. It'd be really cool to do a video where I can do all that stuff, but if you think about it logistically, it's not really a top priority. So I wish I could practice that, but if I'm structuring my sessions out, doesn't usually get put in there. So. Oh, the importance of good bass drum technique is absolutely huge, and unfortunately it's one of the things that, from my experience with teaching and seeing other beginner drummers, it's ignored, I guess you can say. It's so important to be able to play precise. It's so important to be able to play with dynamics, and you see these drummers that practice this with their sticks, but they never practice it with their bass drum. So I mean, to be able to understand that and practice that and master that, it brings your drumming to a whole new level. And you get these drummers that have incredible technique, and you wonder why they're playing the same beat that I can play so much better. Like, how come it sounds so much better? And a lot of it's to do with their foot technique, because they actually have dynamics or preciseness with their feet. So I think it's very important. Is bass drum technique as important as hand technique? I'd love to say it is, and I'd love to practice and get my feet as good as my hands, but for the most part, you're playing majority of the drums with your hands, snare drum rolls, hi-hat stuff, cymbal stuff, and so I mean, as much as I would love to say it is and would love to practice both evenly, I think that sometimes the sticks become a bit more of a priority. However, the time people spend practicing on their sticks, I mean, there's plenty of that, so it's really good to focus on your feet. The biggest struggle with me on bass drum technique has got to be probably my coordination. I think I spend, like a lot of drummers, they focus on speed and they focus on making sure that they can play over top of their hands, but what really struggles me is when I'm actually trying to lead with my left foot, or I'm trying to play patterns that are not just straight rolls. Stuff like that's probably the most challenging part to me. I mean, I have no problem sitting down, putting on a metronome and practicing straight rolls or my endurance or my speed, but the more coordination stuff, it really takes you, you have to take a step back and slow it down and stuff. So that's probably my biggest struggle, I would say. So the easiest thing that I have found on the bass drum, whether it's single pedal or double pedal, has actually been the slide technique. I mean, I remember from the very first time when I picked up the sticks, I started developing this technique that was, I guess now it's known as the slide technique. I didn't know what it was called back then. And then when I got into the double pedal, what I found was by doing the slide technique and throwing an extra kick in there with my left foot, I was able to come up with this triplet pattern. And there's a song by Metallica that I remember my friend showing me, "Oh, can you play this beat?" And I had no problem playing it. He thought I was like the best drummer, and all it was this silly technique, and it was called the slide triplet, is what I call it now. But I seem to develop that one pretty easily. So. The one tip that I can give drummers struggling with bass drum technique would be to slow things down. I mean, I see so many drummers that are just focused on speed and trying to get like the fastest roll they can get. But I mean, you really got to slow it down and focus on the actual bare minimums, which is just, in my opinion, it's a single stroke roll. And if you focus on that, whether it's slow and bringing the speed up, whatever, that's what's really going to change the way you look at double bass or single bass. Because I mean, you can't really play these crazy patterns if you don't have the muscle development, so focus on that. What I think the ultimate technique for getting a fast double stroke on a single pedal or double pedal, for me and from my experiences, is the slide technique. A bit biased because I play that. I've tried the heel toe and I play the swivel a bit, but the reason why I like the slide technique so much is because I find that you get a solid stroke and good power with both hits. And I mean, I've seen Jared, you obviously play the heel toe quite well, and so I mean, it is definitely doable, and you get some crazy speeds from there. But I mean, I'm a heels up player. I like the power and I like the control from it. So, in my personal opinion, I think that the slide technique is probably one of the best. For fast singles, the ultimate technique for developing really quick strokes when it comes to single stroke, I've been working on the swivel technique, which is a great way for endurance, not so much for speed. I mean, when it comes to technique, I've been playing the same technique, which is heels up, all my life on my right foot. So when I started doing double pedal, I just applied the same technique to it. And you get to a point where your legs aren't even moving anymore. It's basically just your ankles and your toes tapping. And I kind of picture it like sticks. When you're playing on the snare drum and you get to a certain speed, your wrists stop moving and your fingers take over. So the way I picture that on the double bass, when you're doing single strokes, you can use your legs and you can use your calf muscles and all that, but you get to a certain speed where your ankles will take over and it's just pretty much your toes kind of gliding over top. So I mean, that's probably, in my opinion, one of the better ways of developing speed. If I can take lessons from only one drummer in the world, hands down, it would be Dave Weckl. I fell in love with that guy's feel, groove. He has some sort of a sixth sense when it comes to the time and the pulse of a song, and it doesn't even matter what the metronome says. He can drive away from that and come back, and his feel, in my opinion, is incredible. So if I was stranded on an island with a drum set, I could only bring one cymbal, one crash cymbal, it would probably be, it'd probably be your Paiste 18-inch. I mean, I love the Sabian AX, I love the Sabian HHX, but the way that your cymbal, it's just so brilliant, it sounds so good. Plus, if I needed to make a fire, it's pretty reflective. I could probably use it to, for some survival things too. Let me do that one again. If I had to choose between taking drum lessons from one teacher or from many online, I would actually, no, that's not even a tough one. I would easily choose the online. I personally find I can teach myself quite a bit by looking at other people, and I'm a visual learner. So I mean, getting the private instruction, although it's really helpful for catching your bad technique, I think that the benefit of seeing hundreds of other drummers with their styles and their skills that you can learn from. I mean, how often is it where you can find a drum instructor that is a master of Latin, is a master of jazz, is a master of rock? You know, it's very rare to find that in one private teacher. So to have access to these people who've been doing it professionally for years, have been teaching for years, it's awesome. I would totally choose that. My favorite color, I mean, it's the absent of color. I think my favorite color is black. That's what always has been. Is that a color? I'm pretty sure that's a color. My favorite movie is definitely the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Is that all right if I use 3? It's just fantastic. And if I had to choose one of those ones, it would have to be The Fellowship of the Ring. I remember when that movie first came out, I think I saw it 4 times in one day in the theater. So, am I a nerd? I think I'm a nerd, but it's a great movie, so. I think my biggest pet peeve is people who are driving in the fast lane slower than they should be. You know, you can go right up behind them, and you should never have to pass a person in a slow lane. That's my biggest pet peeve. My favorite drink, hands down, is a nice glass of Glenfiddich whiskey. Man, that stuff is awesome. You can have it on the rocks, you can have it dry, it's awesome. My biggest non-drumming inspiration, and as cheesy as it sounds and as corny as it may be, it's probably got to be my girlfriend. It's her name is Heavenly, and she has had quite a stressful upbringing, I guess you can say, and the way she's been able to overcome that. And I mean, she's doing awesome right now, and it's just it's an inspiration for anybody really to see like that kind of stuff. So. The craziest thing I've ever done, almost got myself killed. I was at a stag party, and we went tubing down a river that was way too cold to be tubing down. It was in February. It was about maybe 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. And bad news, it ended up me tipping over a few times, getting hypothermia, having to hitchhike home. It was pretty stupid. Well, who I would like to thank, my sister, April. She has been a supporter of me throughout my whole life drumming, and for some reason she's always believed in me, which is awesome. I want to thank my parents for putting up with all the drum practice. Recently I went home and played the drums again, and it was so loud I don't understand how you put up with that. And I want to thank my girlfriend, obviously, Heavenly, for being such an inspiration. Lastly, thanks to Jared and the whole Railroad Media crew, James and Victor back there for doing all the sound and audio and video. You guys do an awesome job. So, thanks very much.